Hey everyone, how's it going? It's Evan back from mymoneymarathon.com. And if you're anything like me, you want to create content and you want to put it out into the world. And a fantastic way to do that, and the way that I've chosen, is with a blog. But where to get started with a blog? So this video is going to be going over how to start a blog in 2023. Starting a blog or any creative endeavor is extremely intimidating, and especially in the beginning, you want to understand everything. You want to understand absolutely everything about the path that you're going down and the best way to do it. But we'll go ahead and jump straight into step one, which would be to completely drop that expectation. You will not understand everything right away or even very quickly. It will take you time to learn and understand everything, and you have to give yourself that sort of time and drop the expectation and pressure that you have on yourself to understand everything right away. It takes time to master your craft. Trying to rush this process is going to do nothing but put you on the fast track towards frustration and burnout, and next thing you know, we're back to square one all the way back at the beginning. The next step looks a lot scarier when you're trying to take in the next 1,000 at the same time. Just focus on the first few steps of the process, get good at those, and trust your future self that you will gain the knowledge necessary to improve over time and understand more and more. Okay, so now that we have a great mindset, the next step is to decide on a niche. Now, I have an entire video going over how to select a niche and go through that process, so I'll just go over a little bit of surface level detail here. So a niche is essentially a narrow focus of your content, and that allows you to excel at that narrow range of content, attract a loyal viewership, and build a cohesive brand around your content. Put simply, a niche should be something that people are interested in, has longevity, isn't seasonal, and something that you are personally interested in. This is all going to work together to ensure that you don't experience burnout over a period of time and your readers continue to be interested over a long period of time. A common pitfall here is to not niche down far enough. This essentially means to not narrow the focus of your content down far enough. This is going to lead you to having a spread out demographic and a spread out skill set. You're going to be a jack of all trades, master of none. So in short, make sure to niche down your content enough that you're always going to have a consistent, specific audience in the future. For example, let's say you have a blog about video games. If your blog is just about video games of all kinds, of all genres, then you're not going to attract a specific viewer base and people aren't going to trust you for a specific type of content. Instead, if you niche down your video game focus to a specific genre of video games or even a specific franchise or individual game, then that's going to lead people that play that game or play that genre to trust you and be loyal to you and come back to your content in the future for their game. Okay, so now that we have a niche set, we're going to need to set up a WordPress account. So I'll have a link below for setting up a WordPress account, but this is basically the manager that's going to allow you to control the back end of your site. If you really want to save money in the beginning, then you can go ahead and start off with the personal plan that's going to be completely free to you, but it's not going to have the sort of longevity that you'll get from the other plans for the main reason that you're missing out on plugins. Plugins add an amazing amount of functionality to your website, at least over time, and it'll really help your workflow and help the readers. The plan that I'd recommend aiming for is the business plan. Now, I get it, it may seem pricey when you compare it to the price of Netflix per month, but if your end goal is to turn blogging into a full-time income or at least a high-end part-time income, then 25 bucks a month is nothing in the realm of business expenses. Now, like I mentioned before, the plugins available with this plan, which are all free to you, by the way, that come along with the plan, they all can do so many features such as search engine optimization to get your site found more easily, back up your site in the event of some horrible disaster where the site breaks at some point, and even just speeding up your site and a million other options. The nice thing about WordPress plans is that they also make this next step free, which is picking a domain. So you're going to need to pick a domain, and I would 100% recommend that that domain is the exact same as the name of your website or blog. Your blog's name should at least be loosely related to the niche and content that you're focusing on. Readers are much more likely to click on your site and click on your result when they Google a keyword if the name of the site that they're looking at is related in some way to the keyword that they just Googled. As you come up with ideas for the name, make sure that the corresponding domain is available. You can do this either through WordPress directly, or you can do this through something like Google Domains. I would definitely recommend sticking with a .com address because .coms are much more recognizable and easier to remember. All right, so for the last technical step, we're going to need to get our shiny, fancy new domain hosted. To most people, this sounds like the most technical and complicated step, but in reality, it's probably the easiest. A host is essentially just going to manage your domain and give you server space to run on to host yourself and future visitors. I would recommend just going to bluehost.com, link in the description below, getting their cheapest plan, and that will last you a long time until you're getting a lot of viewers to your site. Okay, 6. So at this point you have an entire unpublished website ready to go, and you're gonna think I'm crazy, but the next step I would recommend doing is just writing. It's tempting to get caught up in all the other features of a website like the theme, but the important thing is the content. When most people come to your website, they're coming to learn something and to get information from you, and that's all they care about. In reality, most people are going to come to your website, view the one post that they came to view, and leave. They've gotten everything they need from you, and they don't care about the theme that you chose to use. And let's say that somebody does decide to look around your website. You're going to seem much more trustworthy to that viewer if you have many posts out there and a lot of info out into the world. Plus, if you do want to apply to Google AdSense eventually to get ad revenue to start earning a little bit of money from your website, then you're going to need realistically at least 15 or 20 posts to really prove to Google that you have a stable flow of content coming out. I personally made the mistake of diving into everything a little bit too early. I didn't get accepted into AdSense right away, and I was demoralized by the fact I didn't understand everything about blogging within the first 1 or 2 months of doing it, and I would not recommend that for anybody. For the first 1 to 3 months, just do nothing but write. Get the feel of writing, get the flow of writing, get the schedule of writing, how much content you can really put out in a given week or in a given month or anything. Get a feel for that before you start worrying about anything else. So now you've got quite a few posts ready to go, unpublished at this point. There's one last setup step that we need to take care of, and that's picking a WordPress theme like I mentioned before. Now, a theme you're going to think is just a color scheme for the site, but it's actually a lot more than that. It's a color scheme, but it's also a general layout of the site as a whole. Your homepage, all the pages behind it, your About Me section, everything is going to be set up through the theme that you choose. Now, as I mentioned before, a theme is not the most important thing. It's not something to spend a lot of time on. I'd say shop around, look at themes, get a free theme or maybe a cheap $5 to $20 theme. Look around for 1 or 2 hours max. Choose a nice, clean, simple theme that people will easily understand and navigate. The only advice I would have is to make sure that it's mobile responsive, that should be in the description, and also that has some sort of a menu bar, preferably up as a top banner, but it's okay if it's a sidebar or something like that, something that people can easily navigate to different categories and different pages on your site. And that's really all the technical steps that you need to get ready and get started. From now on, it's all about mindset and it's all about consistency. In the beginning, like I keep reiterating on, just focus on creating good, solid content that people are going to want to read and that they're going to get value from in their life. The only caveat I would say to that is social media. Social media is a great way to pull more people into your blog and more readers into your blog and to put the word out about your content out into the world and through other avenues, other than just search engine optimization. But outside of that, most other avenues, at least early on, are more than likely going to lead you to just burnout if this is the first blog that you've ever created. My last tip that I'll mention is that if you really want longevity and success, it's all about consistency in whatever you do. And that includes this blog, that includes this website that you're creating right now, which is awesome. But the key is consistency. If you don't keep up with it for a long period of time, write those 50, 100, 150 blog posts, you'll never know whether it can really turn into something. And more than likely at that point, it will turn into something because most creators just flat out don't reach that point. And that's okay. Sometimes you realize it's not an avenue that's for you, and that happens. It happens to everyone. But the thing is, if it is something that you want to stick with and you're interested in, stick with it and stay consistent on it. Best of luck to you. Let me know if you have any questions about setting up a blog. I'll see you next time.